300. 135,000 enemies. This is Gideon. Background Bible Master presents.
In the days before kings, before kingdoms, Israel was bleeding. For 7 years, the Midianites came down from the east like locusts. They burned the harvest. They took the cattle. They left nothing. Israel hid in caves. Israel hid in mountains. Israel cried out in the dark. And in a winepress, hiding from his enemies, a young man named Gideon was beating wheat, hiding from the very people he was meant to defeat. An angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak tree, and he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon laughed. Mighty? He was the weakest in his clan. His clan was the weakest in his tribe. But the Lord turned to him and said, "Go in this strength. Save Israel from Midian. I am sending you." Gideon asked for a sign. The angel touched the meat with his staff, and fire rose from the rock. God called him, so Gideon obeyed. That night,
his first command: destroy his own father's altar to Baal, cut down the Asherah pole, build an altar to the true God. Gideon waited until night. He took 10 men. They tore it down. In the morning, the city woke to find their idol broken. They demanded Gideon's death. But his father stepped forward. If Baal is a god, let him defend himself. Baal said nothing. The silence was its own verdict. Then the trumpet sounded. The Midianites and Amalekites and the people of the east gathered, crossing the Jordan, camping in the valley of Jezreel, 135,000 warriors. And Gideon, full of fear, full of doubt, laid out a fleece on the ground. "Lord, if you really mean to save Israel through me, let this fleece be wet with dew and the ground be dry." Morning came. The fleece was soaked. He wrung out a bowl of water from it. He asked again. The opposite. Fleece dry, ground wet. God did it again, twice, patient with a fearful man.
Gideon called Israel to war.
32,000 men answered. But the Lord said, "Too many. Tell anyone who is afraid to go home." 22,000 left. 10,000 remained. The Lord said, "Still too many. Bring them to the water. Let them drink." Most of them knelt and put their faces in the river. But 300, only 300, lifted the water in their hands and drank standing up, eyes still on the horizon, always watching. By these 300, I will save you. 300 against 135,000. 450 enemies for every man. That night, Gideon could not sleep. The Lord said, "If you are afraid, go down and listen." Gideon and his servant crept down to the edge of the enemy camp. Tents stretched to the horizon like locusts, camels without number. One man was telling another a dream. "I dreamed a loaf of barley bread rolled into our camp and overturned the tent." The other answered, "This is the sword of Gideon. God has given Midian into his hand." Gideon worshipped right there, returned to camp, turned to his 300. "Get up. The Lord has given the camp of Midian into your hand."
He gave each of the 300 a trumpet, a clay jar, and a torch. No swords, no spears, just 300 clay jars hiding 300 flames. He divided them into 3 companies. He surrounded the camp from 3 sides. At the start of the middle watch, when the new sentries had just taken their posts, Gideon raised his trumpet. Blow! 300 trumpets blasted into the night. 300 clay jars shattered against stone. 300 torches blazed up at once. A sword for the Lord and for Gideon. The Midianite camp woke to fire encircling them, to horns from every direction, to shouts they could not count. In the panic, they turned their swords on each other. The Lord set every man's blade against his comrade. 120,000 fell, to 300 men with no swords. God did not need an army. God needed 300 men who would not look down at the water.
Gideon and his 300 chased the broken army across the Jordan. Tired, hungry, faint, but they pursued. 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, were captured, brought before Gideon. He executed them for the brothers they had killed. When it was over, Israel came to Gideon. "Rule over us, you and your son and your grandson. You delivered us from Midian." But Gideon said, "I will not rule over you. The Lord will rule over you." He asked only for the gold earrings of the spoil, 1,700 shekels. He fashioned an ephod and put it in his city, Ophrah. But it became a snare. Israel worshipped the ephod. The deliverer's monument became their idol. So is the danger of every victory. The moment it becomes about us, we lose it. Gideon died old and full of years. Israel had peace for 40 years. And then they forgot. They turned away. They needed another deliverer. But the story remained. A weak man in a winepress, a fleece in the dew, 300 men at a river, a sword for the Lord, clay jars and fire and trumpets in the dark. Because God still loves to do the impossible through people who think they cannot. Whoever you are, whatever you face, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Bible Master. Subscribe for more biblical full movies every week. The impossible stories of a God who delivers. Background Bible Master. Next, Samson, the strongest man who ever lived. Subscribe, share. The Lord is still with mighty warriors.